The leader and a servant of Joshua. In the flow of the story of conquest and settlement in the Promised Land, the passage Joshua 19:49-51 seems like a final note, an administrative detail. However, when viewed through the lens of spiritual leadership, these three brief Bible verses become a vivid and powerful portrait of the heart of a true servant of God. For those who follow evangelical biblical theology, which emphasizes servant leadership and the responsibility of shepherds, this passage offers an invaluable lesson. Joshua 49-51, New Translation. 49. After dividing the land into portions for the clans, the Israelites gave Joshua, son of Nun, an inheritance among them, 50, according to the Lord's command. They gave him the town he requested, Timnath-Serah, in the hill country of Ephraim. Joshua built the town and settled there. 51. These were the territories that the priest Eleazar, Joshua son of Nun, and the leaders of the clans of the Israelites cast lots for at Shiloh before the Lord, at the entrance to the tent of meeting. Thus, they completed the division of the land. Detailed analysis of meaning. The very order of events in this passage is a powerful lesson. 1. Reversed priority order. 49. When the division was finished, the winners always received the first and greatest reward. However, Joshua did not do so. He patiently waited until all 12 tribes, from the strongest tribe to the smallest tribe, had received their inheritance. He ensured that every family in Israel had a place to call home. The settlement of the flock was placed above the personal interests of the shepherd. This action was completely contrary to human nature, which is selfish and ambitious. 2. Obedience and humility in the choice. Verse 50. A. By the command of the Lord. Joshua's portion of the inheritance was not an arbitrary grant from the people, nor a personal claim. It was carried out within the framework of obedience to God. This shows that Joshua's leadership was not based on personal power, but on the authority and guidance of the Lord. B. The city he asked for. He requested a specific city, Timnath-Serah. This name means the remaining inheritance. He did not demand a magnificent capital city. C. He rebuilt the city and lived there. The land he received was not a perfect place. It needed to be rebuilt. Joshua, even when receiving his portion, was willing to work hard, sweat, and put effort into building it, just like everyone else. He did not seek comfort, but accepted a challenge. 3. Completion in the sacred order. Verse 51. The final sentence summarizes the entire process of land division. It emphasizes that everything was carried out by a trio of leaders, the priest, the military leader, and the heads of the clans, taking place before the Lord and at the place of worship. This affirms that justice, order, and care for the entire community are acts of worship and obedience to God. Theological foundation of evangelical theology. The theological principles of leadership make the lesson from Joshua particularly profound. 1. Servant leadership model. This is the core principle. In churches, pastors are called shepherds, not bosses. Their role is shaped by Jesus himself, who did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. Mark 10:45. Joshua is a perfect Old Testament example of this principle. He did not use his position for personal gain, but to serve. The welfare of the flock, the people of Israel, was his absolute priority. 2. Responsibility. Above all to the flock, Protestant theology emphasizes that the leader's responsibility is to care for, nurture, and protect the entrusted church. Joshua fulfilled his greatest responsibility by leading the people into the Promised Land and ensuring their settlement. Only after completing his duty to the flock did he think about his own portion. This teaches that the greatest joy and reward for a servant of God do not lie in what they receive, but in the growth and well-being of those they lead. 3. The Bible is the final authority, sola scriptura. Joshua receiving the inheritance by the command of the Lord is the guiding principle. For Protestants, every decision, action, and direction of the church and its leaders must be placed under the authority of the Word of God. Leaders are not the law, but are those who execute God's law. Their power does not come from themselves, but from obedience to the Bible. Joshua did not act according to his own will, but according to the revealed will of God. From the above analysis, we draw the central lesson. A servant of the Lord truly has the heart of a shepherd, not that of a hired hand or a master. They do not first ask, "What will I get?" but always ask, "What is best for the flock that the Lord has entrusted to me?" Sacrifice is the mark of true leadership. Personal benefits, status, and recognition always come after the welfare of the faith community. Contentment comes from fulfilling the mission. The joy of a leader comes from seeing God's people established, mature, and living in His blessings. Personal rewards are merely a natural consequence, not the goal to pursue. Humility is strength. A true leader does not demand the best, but is willing to accept what needs to be built and restored, using their own efforts to make it better. Practical application 1. For those in leadership roles, pastors, elders, department heads, small group leaders. Self-examination. When making a decision for the church or department, what is your primary motivation? Is it to make your position look better, to gain reputation, or truly to build up your brothers and sisters and glorify the Lord's name? Adi, prioritizing resources. When allocating the church's budget, time, and manpower, are you prioritizing programs that genuinely nurture and care for the spiritual life of the believers, or flashy projects on the surface? Seeking joy in the right place. Practice finding joy in seeing a believer grow, a family healed, a new person saved, rather than in being praised or having a high position. 2. For all believers. Spirit of service. The principle of servant leadership is not only for pastors. Each of us is a royal priest. 1 Peter 2:9. But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of Him who called you out of darkness into His wonderful light. In the family, in small groups, in the workplace, apply the spirit of Joshua. Put the interests of others above your own. Support the leaders. Pray for your leaders so that they may have a heart like Joshua's. Encourage and appreciate their silent sacrifices. Contribute to building. Instead of just waiting to receive, ask, "What can I do to build the church, to serve my brothers and sisters?" Be willing to take on the rebuilding tasks and help make the church better. Conclusion. Joshua 19:49-51 is not just a historical record. It is a gold standard for spiritual leadership. Joshua ended his illustrious career not by claiming a great trophy, but by a final act of service, ensuring everyone else was taken care of before thinking of himself. This is the heart of the gospel, the example of Christ, and a fervent call to every servant of God in the 21st century. May God grant us the heart of Joshua, a heart that always thinks of the flock first,